And we're on. This is Don.
And this is Lisa.
And we're going to walk you through how to make an answer key. If you're watching this to learn how to make an answer key, you're one of us, a kindred spirit. Not too many people in the world know how to make an answer key in Pearson.
And they're missing out, really, because it's just fun times.
Oh, I would do this part of the job for free.
Yep. Some of my favorite times this year have really just been hanging out with Don Green, putting in answer keys.
Okay, first thing you did was?
I clicked on the assessment dashboard, which is the third button over. That was actually a little faster than I expected. Okay, we have to click on the Manage Assessments button, which looks like 3 squares and a triangle. And now, what I like to do to put an answer key in is to just go ahead and start way up here by Holt Public Schools and create an assessment. However, ideally someday we should probably be categorizing these things and be putting them into groups down here. But not today.
Not today.
Okay, so we're going to create an assessment. And when we create an assessment, I like to have a little more space, so I slide that over and I make a name. So I'm making this test, and I'm going to call it Lisa's Test. Okay?
Good.
Usually, whatever name I put there, I actually just go ahead and put it there too.
If you notice, there's little asterisks next to certain fields.
Right here.
Those are required. You can't go on until you have selected those.
The other thing to remember is that this little red button by the details stays red until you've done everything you're supposed to do. You can't do any of the other stuff until that turns green. So, I'm going to do items. I'm going to make a 3-question test. I'm going to use %correct. And I'm going to select concepts.
If you look at those for just a second too, those are the settings that we've always used. If you choose settings other than that, I don't know what will happen. So these are kind of the whole default settings.
Good job. So I'm going to select the subject. I'm going to do science. And then I get to select grades. The only time you might do something different here is if I'm doing like 10th grade biology and it's possible there's going to be an 11th grader in there, I might click 9, 10, 11 just to be safe. It doesn't seem to matter if you have extra.
Could you point out the green, just hover over the green arrow one time too.
Right here?
The green arrows, before you started adding things in, you have to click on, not the green arrow, but the edit subjects.
Yeah.
You have to click on that in order to get this screen to pop up.
Oh, okay. Alright, good. So now that this is green, that means I can click on one of these upside down drop down menus. What do you call that? A drop up menu?
Drop up menus.
Okay.
Is the standard protocol.
We always select concepts. I don't know what else you'd select there.
The first time you make a test, if you've never added the standards for a particular test, like imagine like for example, kindergarten. We don't have any of the kindergarten standards entered into the database yet. We would have to come to this spot to add those in.
Right.
I can't imagine anybody needing to add more standards at this point, but maybe there's something missing, but we'll do that on a separate screencast.
Okay, and then the thing that gets funny here is that right now you are only seeing 25 of the records per page. So you might think your standard isn't here, but it probably is. Because if you'll notice this little bar, there are 1,571 standards, and we're only looking at 25. So I always search. The method I've been using is if I know that I'm using, like, trying to think, if I'm putting in a 5th grade test, I'm going to put 05 in there, and then I'm just going to grab all my 05s. Again, I've only got 25 out of 67. So I might narrow it down and go, well, I want the E standards. Well, that's kind of odd that it didn't give me the earth science ones and it gave me HE. The search is not perfect. But let's say I want a couple questions on heredity just so we can move along. The search is definitely a good thing to use, and then just make sure you're not thinking something isn't there that is because of this, if that made any sense. Okay, this part should look familiar to most of you, and what you're going to do here is you're just going to pick the right answers.
For most tests, when it's long, like you're going to get over 50, it really does help to have 2 people, one person with the answer key in a hard copy in their hand and one person clicking buttons.
Or even better, tell people they can't make a test that's more than 20 questions.
That's it. 10. That's a joke. 180.
What was the highest we got?
110.
110. Okay. So once you have those in, I usually do all the letters first and then add standards. If I wanted to add a standard to that, I would click it and then I would click apply. If I want to add standards to more than one, you can do it like this. So I can select as many as I want here, click the little green plus over here, and add that to both standards.
If your test is clustered, like if you have all the questions about heredity.
You got it. You got it.
Thank you. If you have them all together, like first 10 questions, that's a good feature.
That helps. If they're scattered all over the place, it makes it much harder. If you mess up, you can click that. It'll take the standard off. And then you can add it back in.
And save frequently.
Yes. Although it hasn't been as fussy as Benchmark was.
But if you work for 10 minutes,
it times out.
It times out, and sometimes you'll lose some of your work. So saving frequently seems to be the wise choice.
And if it does time out, don't panic. The last several times it's timed out for me, as soon as I've logged in again, all my stuff's been back to normal. Okay, so our test is in.
That's it.
That's
Thanks for tuning into this installment of Add a Test.
Good. Bye.